Fine Music Breakfast with Annabelle Drumm.
And we hope you're enjoying your Friday morning here at Fine Music Breakfast. And I've got somebody in the studio with me right now. This is an Australian guitarist who has put out a number of albums now, sometimes solo, sometimes in collaborations. He's taught and performed in China, New Zealand, France and Sweden. He's been an adjudicator in Sweden as well as for the Melbourne International Guitar Festival. And he teaches live, face-to-face, as well as on Skype. So you can have lessons with him no matter where you are in the world. I want to welcome Matt Withers. Welcome along.
What a lovely introduction. Thank you, Annabelle.
I'm so pleased you're here. It's really good. Now tell me, for an Aussie to get out there all around the world, you must have been very courageous to get moving and go out. How on earth did you get the courage to go out around the world?
It's just so exciting to live a life of music and to travel and live the dream, playing guitar and teaching around the world. It's just very exciting.
How did you get started in the first place, though? It must have been very brave.
I was young. I was 10 and I was lucky.
You were 10?
10 when I started playing guitar, and my first teacher, he sent me off really on the world and to start performing as early as I could.
Oh,
yeah.
So you were familiar with travelling with the guitar?
Yes, exactly.
Oh.
It's been a pleasure to collaborate and work with other musicians and to teach my skills and hand them down to the next generation.
You had on your website that you're a pedagogue as well, so you were teaching how to teach the guitar?
That's right, and also how to create your own career as a musician. The entrepreneurial musician of the 21st century really has to be quite active to get out there and compete against the other musicians, as it were.
That is so important. I've come from a business coaching background, so I totally agree with you. Yeah. It's not just about the skills of music, it's about the business side of show business as well.
That's it. Yeah, you really have to be a well-rounded musician, marketer, and I even do the case design and editing on my albums.
Oh, multi-skills. Now, all these wonderful albums, so have they come about through sort of collaborations?
Most of them have, yeah. This is album number 6. I've got 2 solo albums, 2 duo albums, a disc with Guitar Trek, which I'm sure many listeners are familiar with, and the latest with Acacia Quartet.
And you also have this wonderful idea of doing a composers competition.
Yeah, my Australian music composition competition started in 2014 as a way to generate new music for the guitar. The first 2 rounds were in 2014 and 16 for solo guitar, but in 2018 I wanted to expand it to the collaboration with a string quartet.
So where do the composers come from?
They're all Australian. I've received entries from the far corners of Australia. Last time there were 30 plus entries from around Australia.
That's so good, because to encourage the composers, that we just don't seem to have as many courses for composers as we do for musicians.
No, it's a shame. So giving them an opportunity to have their music performed, toured, recorded on the new album, it's very exciting for them.
Yes, and there's nothing like it, isn't it? I can't remember who it was. I think it was a Melbourne competition where people were saying just the idea of being able to not just put it down on, well, it's not on paper anymore anyway, but, to write the music and have it played back on a sort of a synthesizer, and there's nothing like having a live performer interpret it.
And that's what all the composers' feedback has been to me, that they've loved hearing it live. We toured to Sydney, Canberra and Melbourne, as well as recording the album, and that's just what they love. They loved the cash prize, of course, but they were very excited about the performance of their work.
Do they just hand you the work, or do they workshop it with you? Or
well, I'm already planning the 2020 competition, which will be in collaboration with pianist and composer Sally Whitwell.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. So we're already planning a workshop and collaboration to work with the composers, the winning composers. But this last round last year was they submitted their works, and it was a unanimous decision for first, second and third between myself and Acacia Quartet as the adjudicators, and we just loved the works that were submitted.
And how did you meet up with Acacia Quartet?
Well, actually introduced to me through Sally Whitwell, musical friends. We all know each other. It's a small world. So Acacia Quartet, of course, share my passion for Australian music. And we just loved getting together to collaborate, to perform and tour the new works.
So it seemed like a very natural process, I guess, to move on to an album.
That's it. Yeah, we had the repertoire there, so we started off aiming for one album, but it turned out into a huge, massive double album disc.
Double album, fantastic. We've got a little piece from this album right now because this is being released today, isn't it?
Digitally released today, and physical copies are available as well.
Wow, that's great. Now, where do we get the physical copies from?
Straight from my website.
Yeah, mattwithers.com.au.
mattwithers.com.au.
And Matt with 2 T's there.
Perfect.
Yeah, so let's have a listen to a piece. This one is by Wade Gregory. What can you tell us about the water music?
Well, in the composer's words, Wade Gregory says the final movement, Ocean, of water music is a tribute to the Brazilian composers and artists that he admires. The ocean is forever changing, calm, choppy, or cyclonic, but the beach is always an inviting place for a stroll, meditation, or even a samba party.
Gentle and samba as well. I like that mix. Let's have a listen to the final movement of the water music by Wade Gregory. Yeah, it's so free and easy, isn't it?
Such a fun piece to play as well.
I love it. It kind of feels like it's got a little bit of influence of Ottmar Liebert or something.
Exactly. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. The composer, he based it on the direction that you could look out over the ocean and see the horizons and the connection between the sky and the sea and the sand. It's beautiful.
And it's groovy as well.
It is.
So there's your samba
groovy
on the beach, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I can imagine Acacia Quartet getting into that as well.
Yeah, they're great fun to play with, fantastic people.
Yeah, they are. Lots of fun. So this album, now I'm talking to Matt Withers. That's the guitarist that you just heard on that piece of music. The music was by Wade Gregory, and it was called Water Music. It was just one of the movements from that, and he was playing with the Acacia Quartet. So where did Wade Gregory get within the competition?
Well, he placed first. He was the winner. He was the winner. There were 3 places. There was a first and a second and an under-25 emerging composer award.
Oh, very good. So tell us a bit more about those composers. Do you remember?
Yes, Nava Ryan was the under-25, and he wrote this beautiful, long-singing, luscious work, and Rick Alexander from Melbourne wrote the piece for second place, Storming.
Lovely, very good. Storming. So we've got more
Storming,
water themes.
Yeah, well, they're all based on visual artworks of a Queensland-based visual artist, which was a trilogy of oceans. Oh. So there was the whole album really is based on works of landscapes and seascapes and oceans and deserts, and we commissioned Richard Charlton, Sydney-based composer, to write us a piece as well, and that piece is called Shorelines. So that again is based on these visual artworks.
So there's multiple themes going on here.
There is, yes.
Yeah, wonderful. So that has just been released digitally today. So that means we can get it on iTunes.
Spotify, Google Music, your favourite online platforms.
And this has come out through ABC Classics as well.
That's correct, yes.
Wonderful that they've supported you in doing that.
My third album with them.
Wonderful.
Very exciting.
That's really good. Well, okay, so everybody can keep an eye out for that. When you're looking on all your favourite digital music stores, you'll now be able to find the ABC Classics album called Imaginations. And I'm assuming there are a fair few titles called Imagination, so I would suggest you look for Matt Withers. That'll be the quickest way to find it. Matt with 2 T's. Withers, and see if you can find that lovely CD. And it's a double CD as well.
It is. There's over 100 minutes of music spread out across the 2 discs. There's a couple of solo and a couple of Acacia Quartet pieces as well, so it's not all just the quintet, but most of it is the wonderful collaboration of five musicians.
5 strings. Wonderful. That's great. Thank you so much for coming in today,
Thank you,
Matt.
Annabelle. Thank you for having me.
Though I definitely want to play some more of that on Breakfast Other Times.
I hope so.
Lovely. Okay, thanks.